Hey everyone, everyone's starting to come into this session. We're all jazzed up here at the party, ready to go here. We're going to be starting off with Megan Torrance. I'm going to give just a couple minutes for people to get in the room here. And while we're doing that, I'm going to go through a few slides here. So obviously here, welcome to the xAPI Party Fall 2022. This is the Guild's first endeavor of actually taking a little bit of a part of this, and it was being sponsored by Torrance Learning with Megan Torrance's group, who obviously been taking over that party for quite some time. And so she's handing the reins to us. And so I'm showing you the next slide here. We have learning solutions, level up your learning. We're going to be in Orlando in April, and we have some discounts for you. I put a link in chat there. You've got to take advantage of those discounts by December 16th in order to get $250 off your registration, which is an absolutely great deal. So make sure you click that link and take advantage of that. In addition, guess what? Next API cohort is next spring. We are going to be starting February 2nd. You can sign up today, be a part of the cohort. We've got our 12 weekly sessions, and then we will have another xAPI party to have all those great demonstrations and educational things so that you can learn and skill up on xAPI. So make sure you sign up for that today. And we have our little mascot there in the corner. If you are someone who knows xAPI, let me say that correctly. If you know somebody who has the knowledge to maybe share some of their information, please submit a proposal. There you go. We are taking proposals until next Friday, and we will be looking at those proposals, and the programming team will be getting into contact with you. So with that, if you have any questions, you can certainly type in chat, and we also have a Q&A. Right now, I am going to turn things over to the Megan Torrance, who will lead us off for the welcome.
The Megan Torrance. I don't think anybody else will claim that. That's a scary place to be. Hey, everybody, welcome to the party. As it has been said before, ain't no party like an xAPI party. We've got a bunch of people in the room today. Go ahead and, hello, Anna. Hello, Matt. Go ahead and put your introduction in the chat. Connect us or share us with us, your LinkedIn, so that people can connect up with you in the chat. Remember, as you post to everyone, not hosts and panelists, because then only Karen and I see it, and we would love to meet you. But actually, what we'd really like to do is have everybody connect with everybody. And so, as we talk about this here, xAPI and this community it's all around people and community. So I welcome you. In fact, I welcome you, right, to the 17th ever xAPI party, which kind of blows my mind when you think about it. 17 xAPI parties. It's so fantastic. We used to have them live and online, so we were doing hybrid back in about 2016. Of course, with the pandemic, they've been all virtual, which means we can reach a whole lot more people than we ever have. Although our very famous herb fries that we used to serve at Torrance Learning at the office are not available via Zoom. I hear that that's on their roadmap though. So stay tuned for herb fries via Zoom. So everybody, I want to welcome you here. I want to encourage you to share and learn with each other. Connect in the chat and connect with your speakers and connect afterwards. And I'll even say, go ahead and join the xAPI cohort, which is a fantastic way to connect and learn about xAPI and build your skills and build your career in this field in a really, really positive, uplifting, collaborative space. I mean, as geeky as this space can be, although it doesn't have to be, as geeky as this space can be, it's also full of really warm and welcoming and supportive people. And it's just an outstanding environment. So if you're new here, welcome. That's really what this is all about. In fact, let me tell you what this is all about. As Karen mentioned, as we were just kicking off here, hey, Anne-Marie, good to see you again. And Renee and Michael, it's so fantastic to see all sorts of people. And Anna and Lauren. Wow, we've got a good crowd in today, and lots of different knowledge and experience with xAPI. So let me tell you where all this started. And literally, it all started with a gnome. I have bought so many of these gnomes from Amazon. I'm sure they're wondering what the heck is going on here, right? So here's what happened. So the Advanced Distributed Learning Group, ADL, they're the folks who bring us SCORM and a whole bunch of other things, including xAPI. In the early days of xAPI, ADL ran xAPI design cohorts. They ran 3 of them, and they were 10 or 12 weeks long. And the thinking was bring all the geeks together and start figuring out what to do with this new data specification. And in the process of that, right, start figuring out what are the holes in this new specification, and how is it that, how can we come together as an industry to fill those holes, right? That was the concept around the design cohort. And Matt Cleaver and Allison Haas and Meg Fairchild, Rob Hauk, a bunch of people and I all got together and we did a project that featured a gnome. He was a new hire. His name, well, this one's name is Mikey, but we had Finbert the gnome, and he was a new hire at a fish packing plant in Nome, Alaska. We had a whole load of fun with this, right? And throughout his onboarding, right, Finbert would be going about using a mobile app and doing things about learning about his new job, and each one of those things would be stored and sent as an xAPI statement so that you could then track the progress of his learning experience even when he was not connected to the learning management system. I know, mind-blowing, right? No paper rosters, no LMS. It was Finbert and his phone off and running, right? And we created a Twitter handle for this project. We thought it'd be kind of funny. So it's the xAPI gnome, and you can follow him on Twitter if Twitter still exists today. It seemed like it was a great idea in about 2014, 2015. And at the end of that xAPI cohort, there was an xAPI boot camp at ADL's offices in Virginia. And everybody got to show off their work. And it was this fantastic collaborative vibe. Competitors in the marketplace were coming together in this space, thinking about how does everybody make this entire space better for the whole industry. I was hooked, absolutely hooked, right? And then ADL decided that really their mission in life was not running fun social learning experiences to get their data specifications out into the world. And I'm like, but this was so amazing. How can we not? Right? Shout outs to Sue and Janet and Alice and Elvira. It's so nice to see you. Sue, nice to see. I see all of my neighbors in Michigan right here online. Right? And so the team at Torrance Learning and I decided this was a transformative learning experience. And this was really important for us to have this as we level up our skills in this industry. And we felt it was important that other people had it too. So we asked ADL if we could do this. And so in the fall of 2015, first we had an xAPI party, and then we said we should make our own cohort, and we had an xAPI cohort. At the end of 2015, we had run 3 parties and 1 cohort, 12 weeks long of 35 people. And Karen can probably tell us the number, how many people are signed up for the xAPI cohort now? Well, she gets that number of how many people are currently signed up for the fall 2022 xAPI cohort. I will tell you what happened after that. Whoops. What happened after that was people started getting really excited about this. And we ran a spring 2016 cohort and a fall 2016 cohort. And we kept running these. And after each cohort, we would have a party. And I'll talk a little bit more about the details of the cohort in a little bit, but this became kind of a thing. And Torrance Learning ran 14 cohorts and 16 parties. And really, really, we're able to bring this movement and this community of collaboration and learning and sharing to our whole industry. And it's been one of the things that I am most, like, this work is some of the stuff I'm most proud of that I do. So I want to welcome you here. And if there are some people here who have been around xAPI since xAPI was just an idea in a bunch of crazy people's heads, right? And some people are coming to this as their very first ever experience learning anything about xAPI. And all of you are welcome, and all of you have something to share and offer to the others. So I'm actually going to ask you a question, and I'm going to have you answer in chat, right? I'm going to have you answer in chat. Where are you on your xAPI journey? You can just put the numbers down. Where are you on your xAPI journey? Okay, so we got a 2, we've got a 4, James is 5, fantastic. David 5, Rob 4, Brian Duck 4.9, love it. Michael 2, Romy 2, Pushparaj 2. I hope I pronounced your name correctly, right? Fantastic, right? Any ones out there? It's absolutely okay. Right? Ismail, so glad to have you here. And here's the thing, the xAPI cohort, lots of people do it multiple times because it's fresh every session. We both start at the beginning and it's fresh every session. Hey, Divya, good to see you. I'm so glad you made it here. That's fantastic. Yes, Divya moved from 1 until 2 yesterday. Okay, so this is fantastic. And this is really emblematic of the pace of change in our space. And I will say that we've got more 3s and 4s and 5s here today than I've ever seen at an xAPI party. And that's even with all of the software companies and consultants around xAPI, not all of them, but a lot of them are at a conference this week hosted by ADL. So it's, or at which ADL is at. So that's pretty powerful. This community is growing. And here's why, right? So I encourage you all to sign up for the spring cohort. You can go to xapicohort.com to sign up, or any of the links that Karen often provides in the chat here. And let's talk about what cohort is, right? So, and by the way, if you've ever signed up for a prior cohort, you'll need to know you have to re-sign up every single cohort. We don't just roll you forward. It is not just a mailing list, right? It is a community. That said, you can sign up just to be on the mailing list in case there's a community thing you would like to engage with, because it's a pretty good list. But you do need to sign up every single time, because we're not just going to roll you over and assume that you want to. So let's talk about what xAPI cohort is. It's a place where you get to go faster than you've maybe ever gone before, but it's also got some safety parameters, right? Not all the safety parameters. There's no airbags on this, but there's some nice tires that when you hit them, it's going to be okay, right? xAPI cohort is a place where you can come and really connect with others, make some projects, do some real work, maybe go faster than you've ever gone before, right? Without causing too much damage, which is also a good thing, right? So it's free, always virtual. It's 12 weeks long, right? There's a curriculum. I'll talk about this in weekly web sessions but there's also project teams that you can join, right? Project teams on Slack, and we offer a GitHub instance where everybody's work can be put in together so you can learn from the people prior to you or next to you or on your team, or save your work for future teams. And this is a pretty powerful thing, right? And usually in the cohorts, we get to have team report outs every week in which teams say what they're working on, and they recruit members, they recruit testers, and you get to watch what they're doing as they're building it. And then there's that weekly email, which is pretty darn good. It has all of the recordings. So if you can't make it from 2 to 3 p.m. US Eastern time every Thursday, that's okay. You can catch it on the recording. But then also in those are job aids or links or articles or freebies and other good stuff. So it's a pretty good deal. You know, I was at a conference this week, and we were talking about like the future of learning, and I love this quote. Right? So this is by William Gibson, and he not only popularized the term cyberspace, which I think of as kind of a old school campy term, right? Nowadays. Right? But he's also the author of The Peripheral, which is the current novel or movie based on a novel that Amazon Prime is releasing, right? So pretty hip guy, still kicking it, right? Here's the thing. When it comes to xAPI, right? For most of the people who are signing in here today, most of the people using xAPI, the things you want to do are already being done and possible by somebody out there in the community. And the cohort is a great place to meet this. I promise you, this is not an advertisement for the cohort. It's just a really fantastic way to learn, right? For some of you in this group, you are actually leading the way. Right? You are actually leading the way. And so I welcome you to that. Project teams at cohort usually do all sorts of interesting and fun things. So they're learning about multiple technologies at the same time, right? So we've had people do things with geolocation and VR and videos and Alexa and SharePoint, right? And why is this so important? Well, I'll tell you, when I've had the opportunity, because I'm kind of a geek about this. Oh, and by the way, I'm wearing my xAPI adoption shirt, right? Peace, love, and data interoperability. This shirt was actually made by an xAPI cohort member. And so, of course, I had to buy it. You may be able to find it just in time for the holidays on Amazon.com too. Right. But I did some research with the Learning Guild on the state of xAPI adoption. And there's a coming wave. I will tell you, if you're here in this Zoom room or watching this on the recording today, right, you are in this tall blue or maybe this tall red bar, right? And this is that wave of people who are coming into the xAPI community. I'm a big nerd for graphs and charts and economic drivers. And so take a look at this, right? So this next slide really talks about how innovations, not just technology, but innovations in general, right, are diffused into a population. And this is pretty old school stuff. So Rogers Everett drew on the work of others. So he didn't create this from scratch, and he published it first in 1962, right? And here's the thing, his model here is he's not, oh, by the way, Rogers Everett, he's not a technology guy. He's not even like a business guy. He's a communications guy, right? And what he saw as he saw innovations move through a population or an industry, what he saw was that this communication between adoption groups, right? This is a social system. And so you all here, my friends, are part of this social system, and the work that we are going to see today on display at the party, the work that you may be doing already, the work that you will be doing soon, is all work that will serve to support not only your own adoption and innovation and learning, but those who come behind you. And so this happens in prototypes, and that's what the xAPI projects are all about. There's all sorts of how-to and hacks and people in the cohort Slack channel, which is like 5,000 or 6,000 people in it right now, asking like, hey, I was trying to get data out of this authoring tool and into this LMS that says they do xAPI, and I was getting this result, and can anybody help me figure that out? That's what this community is all about. It is all about sharing. It's all about encouragement, right? There's tons of really just a fantastic vibe out there, and jobs, right? Jobs. There's a jobs board. There are people who I have actually hired out of the xAPI cohort 2 times, and I have found people finding jobs, and I've helped people find jobs based on things that got posted in the xAPI cohort. So this is actually a community, it's a movement, it's a real thing. So I want to ask you, right, in just a moment, what you want to get out of Party today. So be thinking of that, be thinking why you're here, and be thinking, why are you going to hang around until 4:30 or so this afternoon Eastern time, right? So let's talk about what we've got on the schedule. And you should have an email in your inbox that has a link to each one of these sessions. So there's a separate link for each session. You'll have to click the link to get there. And Karen, I wonder if at the end of each session, we could have the link to the next sessions, 2 sessions posted in the chat so people can move there. That would be pretty amazing.
Yep, I will do that.
That rocks. Thanks. So for our first sessions, I'm going to be talking in a few minutes about a roadmap for implementation. So when I was out at DevLearn this year, somebody came up to me and they're like, this xAPI thing, it seems amazing. What I really wish was there was a roadmap. I'm like, we can do this, right? So I want to share with you a roadmap for implementation and some of the things that you'll want to pay attention to along the way. At the same time, right, on this whole right-hand side, right, these blue sessions, these sessions are actual demos, and in some cases, even how-tos, right, how to actually do it. So on the left-hand column, we're talking about it, and on the right-hand side, we're doing it. So Amy Parent, who's a longtime cohort participant, and then cohort speaker, just a brilliant and wonderful human anyways, is really looking at how do we use xAPI to get better survey data and scale what we're doing with our data analytics, right, with xAPI data. So super, super cool stuff. She's done a lot of really, really great thinking around this space. At the second session spot, Aurelian Chu is going to join us. And I love this, Coal or Presence. Very timely title. Well done, right? Talking about the metrics that C-suite folks are going to use to decide whether or not they go ahead and actually adopt, right, and fund, right, your L&D projects. Okay, folks, at some point, you're going to need to pay a vendor something in order to use xAPI at any kind of interesting scale, right? So let's figure out what it is you need to share in order to get that budget. Jim Wallace, the other side, another, like, show you how to do it, how to create a leaderboard in Rise, which is outstanding. I can't wait to see that, because those of you who use xAPI, right, and use the Articulate suite know that if you want to get great data, generally you have to use Storyline. Right? So it'd be really great to see what Jim's doing over there in Rise. Super excited there. The third block, Ben Clark, Andy Whitaker, longtime xAPI folks, what to consider when adding xAPI, right? So as you're thinking about looking at your learning ecosystem, you're thinking about your mix, what you want to do is not only just go out and buy technology, but there's a lot of other considerations that you'll want to have before things just get into like a hot mess. Think about it when you're cooking, right? You're making soup or something, and you're like, oh, this must need salt. Everything needs salt. Salt is fantastic. But before you add salt to your soup, you want to consider what your end goal is, what's already in the soup, what kind of salt you've got in your hands, and how long before you're going to eat. So all of these things are things you'll want to consider. I promise they're probably not going to tell you how to make soup. Stephen Kanoski is going to share how to use xAPI to share data between courses. Okay, this is one of the cool parts about xAPI, right? So a lot of us identify as instructional designers. I know I do. And when we make an e-learning course, which is most of what most of us make, right? When we make an e-learning course, we have all sorts of fantastic tools at our disposal, variables and triggers and states and all sorts of things, right? I tell you in the beginning of the course that I really like the color purple, and you can make the entire course purple. Or I like rabbits, and instead of dogs everywhere there's a character, I get a rabbit. That's pretty awesome. Or I am completing a particular case-based activity, and I am storing text and numbers as variables, and that gets used later on to either present my data back to me or to drive where I go in the course, right? And but all of that, well, two things. In a SCORM world, none of that information ever comes out of that course. We have no idea what you picked. Did you pick rabbits or dogs, purple or green, right? Did you say to coach that employee or fire that employee? We actually don't know, because SCORM doesn't keep track of that. But with xAPI, we actually would know. But even better, Stephen's going to take it one step forward and say, the stuff that you say in one course, you can drop down to your learning record store, and then another course reaches by, scoops in, pulls that data out, and now uses it in another course, right? Or maybe the data that went in the first time wasn't even a course or didn't come from e-learning. It could come from some other source, right? So this ability to port data around, in and out, is pretty amazing. Right. And then we're going to end the day with Jeff Batt's education session. Jeff is fantastic and fantastically generous with his sharing. He is usually sharing something about how to get better data, better results, better user experience, and he shares with you his code and his ideas and his passion and his fabulous goofy sense of humor, right? With so freely, it's fantastic. So Jeff Batt will have a great session wrapping up there. And then Martin Koob has been working on a variety of xAPI cohort projects through several cohorts. This is work that will expand even beyond what one can do in a single cohort. So if you see Martin's stuff, don't get freaked out like, oh my gosh, I can't do that in 12 weeks. He didn't either. So you've got, he'll be able to share with you the work that he has done overall. So, and then we'll come back and we'll have a closing panel discussion and talk about some of the challenges, both within an organization and then industry-wide, as we look at adopting xAPI, as we look at all sorts of other interesting things going on from a technology space and what this means for us. So everybody, I want to welcome you to the party. I want you to think for a moment and go ahead and toss this in the chat. What are you hoping to get out of the xAPI party today? Why are you here? Let's hear some of these answers. Oh, and thanks, Karen. Yes, Jeff Batt's session will be no code xAPI implementation. I'm a big fan of no code. I actually can't code myself, right? And I partner with people who can, so they can help bring my wild ideas to life. But I have long been a proponent that xAPI won't get mass traction, right, until we can do it code-free. So Kelly is looking, hey, Kelly, good to see you. A little more confidence as we're just embarking on our first xAPI project. Congratulations, that's fantastic. Lauren's looking better understanding of when to use xAPI. Ooh, good one. Ash, looking forward to seeing new ideas and perspectives. Anna is looking to make connections and learn about the possibilities of xAPI. Anne Marie wants to pass information from one course to the other and leaderboards. Yes, right. Craig is continuing his xAPI journey to help efforts and convince the business to get on board. Oh, Craig, maybe we can come to the roadmap session. Kate's looking for the big picture. Michael is looking out for some next steps to test xAPI within the work of his office. Fantastic. Elvira is looking at how and when to apply xAPI to learning programs as we build it from the ground up. Pushparaj is looking to leverage all of the xAPI features. The cool thing about xAPI is it actually doesn't do anything. You do. It just is how you report the data that you do. So you can do all sorts of cool things. Looking to see examples that can help me sell it at work. Yes. Okay. So you're going to want to go down that right-hand side there. Cheryl wants to learn more about the power of xAPI and when and how and where it can be utilized. And Christian wants to know what is involved in implementing xAPI. Fantastic, everybody. You are all here in the right place. There's all sorts of cool stuff going on. If you want more of this, you can join the cohort in the spring, right? And Karen's going to share the links for the next 2 sessions. And Lakita is looking for an affordable LRS option for xAPI. Ooh, yes, we can talk about that. There are 2 sessions. One is Destination xAPI, a roadmap for implementation. I will see you there. Amy Parent is going to be in the doing it side of things. Not that the people on the left side aren't doing it, but you've got lots of real life case studies on the right-hand side with Amy Parent starting using xAPI to rethink the survey experience and scale data analytics. Everybody, welcome to the xAPI party. Welcome to the xAPI community. Those of you who've been there or been here, it's good to see you, old friends. See you in the next session, everybody.
Thanks, Megan. And